welcome to this new episode of Continuum Gaming, and in this episode I have a couple of pretty exciting stuff to talk about because Jolla had a new update which they gave us through the forums, and it's a pretty huge one. They're talking a lot about the Jolla Phone, what's going to be in there. So we have the fan and socks, the memory, Pogo pins and other stuff around that. And so we are talking about everything that is more or less connected to the smartphone is more or less fixed now, not exactly because we don't know the refresh rate now, but everything else seems to be there. And in the end, a couple of smaller adjustments will be done to the Pogo pins and stuff like that in future, but in the end, it seems like they have a working example now. They call it CNC example, whatever. It's more or less the one that is really working with all the functional stuff in there, and they are already hacking and working on it or programming with this new device. For that, they had a hackathon, which you can see in this small little, it's a pretty big forum post they put out there. There are a couple of different images here included now too. So as you can see, we have all the different things in there. The SOC is there, modems are there, user replaceable battery is in there, and everything is together in one big piece they can work with. They have a couple of different images of this device, and they have of course a couple of images just around the more or less starting of the developing on the device itself. Okay, so let's have a look. As you can see, there are a couple of different images here. I will post a link in the video description just so you can have a look at them in more detail than I can do that here. But just to show you what's going on here, we have a couple of different informations here with a couple of images where they did it. Pretty fun to see. There are a couple of developers here in a small little cottage-like part where they are working on. I really like this. It's a really nice little information about all the one how they approach this and the development of this. It's really nicely done, and it's a hackathon, so people were there, and as you can see we have a couple of other informations about that. Here I think this is a C2 because it has its curved part, so this is just to tell us, hey, SailfishOS 5.1 is already in the making, so you can see it there. They have it running on the C2. I don't think we have a picture what they are running. Maybe I'm wrong, because there is an information about the Jolla Phone, which is they are talking about there. Don't know at the moment, so let's have a look at the other pictures here. This finally seems to be the running Jolla Phone. As you can see, it has maybe this curved parts are in the display itself, and the harder edges around that are just the outer shell. So maybe it's already the Jolla Phone on the first phone there, or image there too. And yeah, here running with SailfishOS of course already, as you can see, and we have of course better images of that too, like this one. Here you can see there are already the Pogo pins showing out. Pogo pins are more or less the option of the smartphone to communicate with other devices outside in the shell. Okay, so if you want to do something like the replaceable back cover, we are already at the stage, we have that. And if you want to have something like the other half, then you need something to communicate with the other half, so your replaceable back cover, if that should be in any way smart or something, and not just a different color or a different material or something. And like that, we have 7 of those, and there are already informations about what will be there, which is pretty exciting, I think. It's of course pretty technical to talk about all this, so let's have a look at what we see here. Here you can see it again. We have these Pogo pins in there. We have of course the smartphone itself, and opened up at the back here, and of course closed, it's looking like this. Let's go out there. And a couple of other informations. And we have technical updates, and this is one many people have waited for. Here you can see which kind of SOC they are going to use. They are going to use the 7100, which is a very new SOC by MediaTek. It's really hard to get at least reliable information about that, because it's really just came out, I think, end of January or something. There was the first unit you could see really in real life, so nothing they just announced or something, but the real life unit, the first one was in end of January, and now we know which one it's going to be. So it's a SoC MediaTek Dimensity, I don't know, 7100, and this is the real name. You can already see it here because this is a real picture they got from the SoC, of course, and here you can see the different kinds of numbers about which kind of SoC it's going to be. Okay, 7100 is mid to a little bit upper mid-range rate, so something in that direction, so maybe mid to upper mid-range, and it's a pretty capable SoC as it seems. It seems to be, as what I could figure out, that it's around about at the level of a current 7300 chipset, okay? So if you are searching for 7100, you might even find information about the older versions. And so make sure that you are getting the 2026 one, not anything else, because anything else might give you a wrong information about what's going to be in this part here. Okay, so let's have a look. We have information about the memory now. It's this kind of memory. It's an LPDDR4X RAM with UFS 2.2 storage. This is not the fastest one, 3.1 or something is out there, but still it's fast enough, and in the end they got everything figured out as it seems. So the batch will already be covered by this one, because as many people out there know that memory prices are at the moment in a really crazy state, especially if you are, for instance, into building computers or something. You already figured that out, because the prices of memory are just insane at the moment, and it's very nice to hear that they already got that figured out. I hope that they are, with this initial batch, they're not talking about just the first round of the batches, but all of them. So all the, I think 10,000, right, or something, that they figured that out, because then it should be fine. It's going to be created by a Korean brand, as you can see here, and yeah, seems to be something that already works out. Here are some information about the batches or the memory modules here. Even a picture in there, which is going to show you us where they are and what they do there. Very interesting, very detailed information. If you are into that kind of stuff, please have a look. This is a small little bummer. Some people asked for the USB-C video out stuff, and that seems to be unlikely, because they might not be able to bring that to the SoC or bring that into the software and the SoC, stuff like that. So hardware is a limiting factor here. USB-C video out seems to be unlikely. We don't know, but yeah, they just tell us that now here, and I think it's fine to tell us that, and that they did that is, yeah, more or less a good thing. Anyway, anything else seems to be fine. eSIM is now discussed, of course. I talked about that already, and probably it's going to be, which I would prefer, I think, because you can buy for a very small amount of money just some adapter for that, a real SIM card slot, and in that will be a eSIM adapter, more or less, which will help you to get eSIM if you really need that, and if you want to have a real physical one, then just use the SIM card slot itself. Seems to be fine, seems to be in there, very nice. And there are a couple of other things, like a super high brightness mode. I don't need that. If you need it, maybe you're I don't know, from Greece or something, then it might be a different story. In Germany, we don't need that in general, and so I'm not that much hyped about that as about other stuff. Yeah. Okay. Other thing, they are talking about IP rating. So even this is an open phone that is, of course, openable by the user, so you can just replace the back cover, battery and stuff like that. It seems that they're trying to aim for some kind of IP rating. It will of course be dripping and drops and stuff like that, so small amounts of rain and stuff like that. If it's more, I doubt it, but we will see what they're going to come up with there. In the end, it's very likely just going to be one of those which are dust resistant and maybe small amount of splash resistance, okay? Nothing nothing like dropping it into an aquarium and waiting for it for 20 minutes to be still alive. Something like that is probably not going to happen with this kind of smartphone, of course. And here is the next thing we can talk about, the other half. Okay, the Pogo pins, I already showed you about that or told you about that, is probably going to be there. And as you can see, let's make it. So Jolla probably will do it anyway. Again, not talking about if it's really 9,000, 10,000, whatever. We will see how many will there be at the end. But it seems like we are close enough to that number that they are going to prepare it and that it's already there. These are the Pogo pins. And as mentioned before, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see it's going to be 7 Pogo pins with a couple of different informations here. I myself don't understand everything in here, okay? But just to let you know what's going on there, 5-volt output means that the phone can power at least the other half in this case, very nice. And the other one around here is that it can be done the different way around too. So in the end you can do the 5-volt in, meaning the other half to phone can charge. That means that, for instance, something like an additional battery or something is going to be possible and very likely is going to work here. With a wireless charger input more or less, so it's a 5-volt one, similar to a wireless charger input, they tell us here. There are a couple of other things here, like for instance phone interrupt and wake line. I think this is something that can be used to wake up the phone. So for instance, if you are going to open your I don't know, your cover or whatever you're using there, this should be able to do that too. And it seems that, of course, that there is some kind of a SDR mode. SDR means that you are able to transfer information between those two. So we are talking about data transfer with a maximum speed of 12.5 mbits per second, which should be enough for a lot of different things. Because we're not talking about very fast connections here. I don't know if you want to really save stuff on the other halves then. I'm not sure why you should in the end, because you already have these capabilities of the SD card in the smartphone itself, which are faster to write on. And so I'm not sure, but if you want other half one where you can, for instance, store even more data, even that is possible, but it's not very fast for that one, okay? But that's fine for stuff like audio transfer, stuff like that should be totally fine with this kind of speed. And of course they are promising us that we are getting the full CID pictures or CID drawings more or less. Pictures is probably the wrong word for it. It's more or less the 3D information you need to print something can be in CID format or STL format, and both are fine, and this seems to be coming there too. Okay, and then they are talking about the schedule. So what is going on? What are going to be the timelines they have put in here? It's of course just a very, very approximated one, so don't expect this to be the final word on it, stuff like that. But it's probably going to be like this. In February, this is now the part. We already have this lights on one, and we have a couple of different informations about what's going on there. In March, they're starting to get the final payment collection. So if you want to pre-order it, do that now, and then in March somewhere, don't know when exactly, the full price will start to be collected. Doesn't mean that you have to pay it now, but probably in the next months they are going to ask you for the full price. We will see that. April and to May, it's going to be development, tunings, testing, hacking, bug squashing, stuff like that. So this is the part where they are going to talk about or work internally on getting the smartphone to the full functionality. I'm not sure what's working at the moment, what's not. Seems already pretty far if you ask me, but in this case they are going to just make sure everything is going to work with SailfishOS, of course. And then in May to June, they are going to have a look at different kinds of band verifications and tuning. And this means that you can use this smartphone in different kinds of countries and stuff like that. They're going to test that in this kind of scenario in May to June. And end of June, the first batches should be sent out. So this is the first half of the year. You already saw that in the pre-order pages there. The smartphone is going to be there in the first half of the year and it's going to start shipping in this kind of dimension. This would be totally in tune with that, so June is more or less the way we are going to have to wait for it for the first batch, okay? So if you're in the first round, end of June is probably when you're going to start seeing the shipment. Possible that you are going to get it in end of June already, which is really a great thing because end of June is my birthday time, so very nice. Anyway, let's have a look at the other pictures we got here. There are a couple of them. I really like the optics of this. If you have a look at this, for instance, it's just the smartphone itself. It's, as mentioned before, going to have this kind of a rectangular shape, very similar to the first Jolla Phone. So they, of course, intentionally did that and tried to assimilate that. And then have a look at the next picture. You can see this is going to be the privacy switch at the side there. You can. I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan that it only has this kind of very small movement there. I'm not sure. Could be a little bit more, but maybe it's totally fine. I didn't have it in my hands and I couldn't really have a look at that, see what's going on there, and like that. Maybe it's totally fine, but I'm not sure. Okay, let's have a look at the other pictures. There are SailfishOS running on it with a couple of different apps we already know about. For instance, this is the Enjoyer app, more or less. I'm not sure what it's called at the moment. It's more or less telling you how many pre-orders there were at a certain point of time. And of course, we have a timer app, Pure Maps, SailPipe, and the Jolla store itself, and Tutor, which is a Twitter client or X client, already running there, which is a nice thing. So here you can have a look at a couple of different informations here. Okay, totally fine. Let's go on. Here we have a picture again where we can already see a couple of different things. A replaceable battery here. We see real Phillips head screws in there, as it seems. I'm not totally sure, but I think it's Phillips head, which is perfectly fine and very, very nice because most of the other ones are using proprietary screws and stuff like that. Jolla is using normal Phillips heads to secure everything. Don't seem to have any kind of clips or something going on there which are going to break off or something. That's all bad if you ask me. And if you would like to repair this seems to be okay, a lot of screws of course, but that's totally fine. And it's very nice that there are a lot of screws because then it's not going to break open, do stuff like that, or start to rattle around or something. And that's a really, really nice little touch that they are showing us to us. And here you can already see the Pogo pins, which are shown there. And I'm not sure. I think there is some kind of a small little gap there going down, so we don't see the three here in full length. That makes sense for me because there's just this kind of part which is over covering it in the picture, but totally fine. Seems all very nice. So let's have a look at this. AIDA is something where you can see which kind of CPU is running and what is going to be supported in it and stuff like that. So as you can see, we have 4 ARM Cortex A55 at 2000 MHz running in there and 4 high performance ones with A78 ARM Cortex CPUs or cores in the end, and of course at 2400 MHz. Other stuff here, you can just have a look at that if you want to. Very interesting things. This is the optic of the smartphone, of course. In the real life version, if you are getting off the cover can already be seen is at the right side. Here you can see the cameras very nicely, a flashlight, and of course you see a couple of different informations like where everything is suited. I'm not sure if this will be in the end product. If it's there, perfect, then you really know where everything is on your smartphone. So antenna 1, 2, 3, whatever, and you have a couple of different informations about that. Very nicely, more or less labeled here, so you really have an easy time to repair it if it's necessary someday. Okay, here are the Pogo pins in full real life whatever parts to show you what's going on there. Nice to see that too. Nice. Let's have a look and a couple of other pictures. Yeah, we are at the start again. I think so we can go out here. And now just to give you a small little information, here are a couple of informations and people answering and stuff like that. So have a look at the discussion if you want to. It's going to be in this forum post. I'm going to post it down below. Now let's have a look at the performance, or at the MediaTek Dimensity 7100, which is going to be in this, the SOC, the powering hardware here. As you can see, January 27, those informations here I got there. This is pre-launch, so we don't know much about the smartphone itself. This is somewhere pre-launch, but very close to the launch. And so we can have a look at what's going on here. They are expecting performance, so they don't have real performance now, real life ones. But just to let you know, we are talking about something that is probably going to be somewhere in between the Dimension 6400, the current version, the former versions, whatever, and 7300, which is the former one again. So be aware that there is no 7300 from 2026. It's the old version of this processor, okay, we are talking about. And as you can see, they expect stuff, and in the end, it's a slightly, performance-wise, it's slightly, GPU at least, is slightly worse than in the 7300, but somewhere in that ballpark, okay? So of course here you can see which kind of parts we have there. We don't know where it's going to fall exactly. They are just going to speculate about all this. Seems to be unlikely that the 7200, which is coming out sooner or later, we don't know when, it's not there yet, the new one is this, should be faster than the old 7400, faster than the 7300, and then the 7100 should be there. I'm not sure about all this, okay? I'm not sure about anything in this direction, but just to let you know, these phone informations here, the stuff we can see here, is really going to be much faster than anything we saw in the official devices, at least till now. So it's very, very fast for this one. Jolla already talked about that in the article, if you want to have a look at that too, or the forum post there. They are talking about how fast the smartphone is and that it's more responsive than anything they had in the hand till now. Okay, here you can see a couple of different specs again about this new processor, so just have a look. And one of the first smartphones which will be there, if you want to have a look at the different CPU benchmarks and stuff like that, is going to be the Infinix Note Edge. Of course, an Android device. It's a little bit different than the Sailfish OS device, because of course Android is much more cluttered in the end. So they put a lot on the CPU and the different parts there. And a lot of that is tracking and stuff, like telemetry going to Google and stuff like that. And of course, with the Sailfish OS operation system, you have a lot less of these kind of stuff, okay? So you have a lot more performance for you on your hands for everything you want to do and not everything that Google is trying to now make you do, okay? Better to have that, in my opinion. Okay, and so just have a look at that. I'm going to post everything in the commentary section and of course in the video description section down below. And then I would say thank you for listening. Thank you for having me here. And if you liked this episode, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to talk about everything about or in this video about the new Jolla Phone, have questions, whatever, put them down below into the commentary section. And other than that, thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up, of course, subscribe to the channel, and see you around in the next episode. Bye. Bye.